G'day and welcome back to Horsemanship 101 again. Today I want to talk about tools, the tools we use and how we use them. And this is somewhat influenced by a post I just read on Facebook by a real good horseman that he was a little irked. I'm going to call it a rant, although he worded it very, very diplomatically, and never mentioned a name. None of the comments anybody mentioned a name, and I'm not going to mention a name, but I think it was actually mostly about one individual. I'm pretty sure who it was, but that's not the point because he's not the only one doing it. And what it is he's got a bit of a thing about certain tools that we use and says they're bad. Now, tools in themselves, whatever they are neither good nor bad. There's only a very small number of things that I would simply never use, but some of that is personal preference too. But the tools themselves are not good or bad. They are it's how you use them. It's not the tools, it's how you use them. And that's what this whole thing is about, because I'm even going to talk about some things that weren't covered in that thing, because I've heard people make comment about them too. And almost everything I'm going to talk about today I've covered in other videos at different times. But I'm going to start at the beginning with the round pen. Somebody doesn't like round pens. They say horses can run too much in a round pen. A square pen is better because the horse doesn't run as much. And, I'm here to say that is absolutely not true. That one right there would prove otherwise, because when I trained her, I didn't even have a round pen. I used a square pen, and there was one day I just let it happen to see what would happen. And she ran around like a lunatic for about 10 minutes until I intervened in a square pen. So will a horse run around in a square pen? Oh, you bet. In a round pen? No, they won't run around in a round pen. Not if you know how to use it and how to stop the horse from running around in the round pen. And that's one of those things that I talked about the round pen and its advantages. And it's actually much safer than a square pen, because most square pens, they'll do the job. Like I said, I trained that one without a round pen, and they'll get the job done. But a round pen is actually much safer because it's generally taller and a little more sturdy. And a square pen is generally not built for that kind of thing. And if the horse gets pressured enough and gets worried enough, it might go crashing right through that fence and or jump over it. And either way, you could possibly end up with a hurt horse that could, result in a vet bill, delayed training while it heals, and all kinds of things. Plus, you got to try and catch a horse that's now injured. A square pen, it's not better than a round pen in any way, shape, or form. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with a round pen if you know how to use one. These horses all have been in a round pen. I have used a round pen with them. And I don't think they have ever run more than a couple of laps in any one direction. And usually I'll slow them back down, stop them, change direction, stuff like that. They don't just run around like a bunch of idiots. Like I said, if that happens, you don't know how to use one. So round pen, nothing wrong with them. They're perfectly good if you know how to use them. It's another tool that you can use, and it's in the hands of the individual. Now, the one particular individual that is, spouting stuff like this, and this is where I did a video. I said, be careful what you believe you're going to get hurt, because I've heard a number of things coming from them, and he's not the only one spouting misinformation on the internet and that sort of thing, and in the horse world. And if you believe some of it, you could get hurt. And I believe a lot of it is an age-old marketing method. It's been around for a very, very long time. Is you tell people what they want to hear so that they give you money. Now, since most people do not have a round pen, or, sometimes it's very difficult to even access one, telling people that they don't need one, that a square pen's better, a lot of people want to hear that. So it's either that or he really doesn't know much about horses if he doesn't know how to control them in a round pen and keep them from running. So either way, I don't know. Another thing that I've heard a lot of comment about is rope halters. I did a video on this one too. I talked about rope halters, and a lot of people are really against rope halters because they say, oh, rope halters hurt horses. No, rope halters don't hurt horses. People hurt horses. Rope halters are, I've never hurt a horse with a rope halter, and I use one all the time. And, whether you got a lead on it or not, it takes very little to get what you want. I'm touching it with one finger, and she's backing up. That's how much for. I'm not hurting a horse. I have never hurt a horse with a rope halter, and that's one of those things, again, if you know how to use it properly, you will never, ever hurt a horse with a rope halter. They are far more effective, in my opinion. I like them. One size fits all, unless you got a draft with an incredibly huge head. But, it's just one of those many things that is controversial, and people, will say, no, don't use it. They're bad. No, they're not bad. It's how you use them that's bad. Another thing that has come up, too, is the flag. There's some people that are totally anti-flag because they say you scare horses with a flag. And I can assure you I have never scared a horse with a flag. These are my own horses. I've used a flag on all of them. Do they look like they're scared of the flag? No, not at all. It's how you use it. And I did a video on tools, gimmicks, and gadgets at one time. And I said the biggest problem with these things is none of them, whether it's a lunge whip, a training stick, a flag, or anything like that, none of them come with instructions. So if you really don't have a clue how to use the thing, you're probably best not to buy it. But the only way you're going to scare a horse with one of these things is by how you use it. Used incorrectly, could you scare a horse with one of these things? Oh, sure. But then again, I could scare a horse with my lead rope. In fact, I could scare a horse with my bare hands. So to say that flags are bad because they scare horses, that's a absolute bunch of nonsense. That only applies if you don't know how to use one. So if anybody tells you that any tool that you use is a bad tool, no, it's in the hands of the individual that's using it. And many good horsemen have used all of those tools with excellent results. And you can't argue with results. They aren't, come on. A flag bad? You don't even touch the horse with it. Do they look scared of it? I don't think so. And, like I said, I can scare them with my bare hands if I do that wrong. So it's got nothing to do with the flag. It's how you use it. You can scare a horse with your lead rope. You can scare a horse with a lunge whip, a training stick, absolutely anything. And, there are some gimmicks and gadgets and stuff that I simply will avoid. And there's a lot of them that are unnecessary because they're just out there to get your money because they convince you this is the newest, greatest, latest thing. And, the flag, it's relatively new, but the idea behind it isn't. People were, long before a flag was ever used, people would use a tree branch with some leaves on the end of it, and it worked just like a flag. So the idea of using a flag, that's not a new thing at all. And, all the rest of the things that, we've been training and riding horses for thousands of years, and most of the stuff that we have now, we didn't even have. So, I strive to try and work with horses with as little as possible, but there are very, very few things out there that I have anything against, and it's only because, quite often we become dependent on gadgets to solve our problems, and I talked about that, when it's time to put them away. Like this flag hasn't been used in ages. I hardly ever use it. It rarely gets used. And, it's like anything, there's a time to put it away and not use it anymore. But that all comes with knowing how to use it. So the tools you use, whether it's a round pan, a rope halter, or a flag, or anything, it does not matter what you're using. It's how you use it. So that's all I want to say, and it just goes along with the little rant that I just read. And like I said, I've done videos on all these things, probably half a dozen different videos covering all these different topics and more on the subject of, when not to use tools, our dependency on them, and all sorts of things. And, no, the tools themselves are not the problem. People are the problem. Have a good day.